What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Wrestling All Day podcast. I'm Matty Smackdown, and today, um, we're gonna try to get through this one. Um, Today's a very special one. Um, I don't know if it's gonna be uploaded today or not, but at the time of this recording, it is June 18th, which may not have much semblance to anybody else here, but it's a very important day for me. It is the birthday of my brother, who unfortunately we lost back in 2021. Um, and I know people are gonna go, well, "What the hell does this have to do with wrestling?" It has a lot to do with wrestling, actually, because if it wasn't for my brother, and I've touched on this in another episode, if it wasn't for my brother and my mom, there'd be no Matty Smackdown. I wouldn't have fallen in love with wrestling the way that I have, and um, I literally would not be sitting here doing a podcast on wrestling in 2026 if that didn't happen all those years ago. So when it comes to my brother, our relationship was always kind of iffy. You know, he was the big brother, I was the little brother. You know the dynamic. If you're a younger sibling, you know the dynamic. If you're an older sibling, you know the dynamic. Um, but to say we had a bad relationship would be untrue. Now, we've butted heads so many times over my life, and unfortunately, we were still kind of in a state of not non-talking, but just a state of distance when he passed away. And that's something I'll have to live with the rest of my life. But that's not what we're here to dwell on. Like I said, if it wasn't for my brother, there would be no Matty Smackdown. It was his VHS tape. I don't remember which one it was. It was the best of Survivor Series, the best of WrestleMania, something like that, where I got my first taste of professional wrestling. I got my first taste of WWF at the time for you youngins. Um, and again, I said this before. If you don't know what a VHS tape is, you know, all you youngins out there, it was a plastic box you put into a bigger plastic box to watch movies and shit back in the day. Um, crazy technology. You guys don't know how lucky y'all are right now to have all this. Um, but yeah, man, it's been a wild ride, and the VHS I remember most. The thing I remember the most from it is this clip. I don't know if it was during like the previews, because back then we used to have those. I don't know if it was during the previews or what, but there was a clip of Stone Cold Steve Austin giving a stunner to the artist formerly known as Goldust, who was wearing a giant diaper, and then he threw him into a porta john. That was 1990, I'm assuming 8. So I guess nobody questioned it then. Now looking back on it, it's kind of like, what the fuck was that? But you know, it is what it is. We got through it. Like I said, the Attitude Era was probably my favorite era of wrestling, right next to the Ruthless Aggression era. But there was a lot of cringe moments in both, and you can't deny that. Every Attitude Era fan, every Ruthless Aggression era fan, you can't deny there was some levels of cringe to a lot that happened back in the day. But man, I miss my brother, y'all. I really do. Um, he passed away December 13th, 2021, a couple months after my dad died, and yeah, kind of messed me up for a while. I took a break from everything. I kind of just stopped caring about being alive. Um, and that's not the way to grieve somebody. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell people how to grieve, because everybody grieves differently. But that's just not the way to do it. You don't grieve somebody's death by killing yourself. You know what I mean? Like I stopped caring. I didn't go outside. I didn't talk to nobody. I just kind of did my own thing. It was really hard when my dad died, and then it got worse when my brother died. My dad dying kicked off about 16 months of just awful luck. I don't know who I pissed off to have that happen, but man, that sucked. My dad died, my brother died, two uncles died, my cat died, my rescue cat. A lot happened in 16 months, from the spring of 2021 to around the fall of 2022. It was just a lot happened. But it's kind of one of those things where as time goes on, I kind of learn to just you never really get over it. You just kind of learn to accept it. Um, and that's something that you know isn't easy for everybody. It's not easy for me. Like I'm doing this right now, thinking about my brother, and it's tearing me apart. Um, but man, I remember going to my first professional wrestling event was a WXW show in 2001, 2002, whatever. Alpha, if you're listening to this, bro, help me out. What year was that shit, dog? The main event was Gangrel and Rikishi. I don't know if that was 2001, 2002, but that was my first wrestling show. And at that show, it was me, my dad, my brother, and about 17 cousins. We all pulled up like a bunch of rednecks to this damn show, at Cedar Beach in Allentown for Sports Fest. And that's kind of where I really fell into love with wrestling. Like there was so much cool stuff going on there. Like it might have been 2002 because I think Batista was on that show, and Batista had just signed to WWE at that point. I think he was still Deacon Batista, which shouts out Batista debuted May 9th, 2002, which is my birthday. But yeah, um that was my first wrestling show. WXW 2001, 2002 Sports Fest. And that really helped shape my love for wrestling because it was cool. Getting to be there, sitting that close to the ring, that close to the action was fucking incredible. And I got to do that with my dad, and I got to do that with my brother. And that's something that I will never forget. And then over the years, we went to more WXW shows, and we would go, and we would go, and we would go. And the last show we went to, I believe, was the 2014 Sports Fest. There's actually a video on YouTube. I can share the link in the description of this, whether you're on YouTube or listening to this on your favorite podcast platforms. Thank you, by the way. Um, there's a video. I don't remember what match it's going on in the ring. I really don't remember. But you could see me at like 15, 16 years old. And my little sister's next to us in her stroller. And next to me on my left-hand side is my brother. It's only a short video. But it's a video that I will cherish forever because I found it one day. I was at a McDonald's and I was just scrolling through YouTube. And I found it. And I started bawling my eyes out in the middle of this fucking McDonald's. Because trust me, there's plenty of pictures and videos of my brother, but there's not very many of us together. And if there is, they're very old and were made before social media. When we had a thing called camcorders where you had to put that little plastic tape into a big plastic tape and put it into the VHS. You old heads like me, you know how that works. If there's any videos of us, it was pre-social media. And again, that's something I also regret. I didn't have a lot of pictures with my dad or my brother, which is why you see me take so many fucking pictures with my mother, because I just don't want to do it again. I don't want to deal with it again. You know what I mean? And it really kind of hits home when you think about it, because it's like you got to live those memories. Actually, I have a photo. I don't know where I put it again. I lost it again. Son of a bitch. I have it in my studio somewhere. There's a picture of me at my first ever WXW show at my little Doink the Clown sign. That picture was taken by my dad. My brother was there. I don't know why the hell he didn't get in the picture. But another funny story from WXW. The Sandman was there. And the Sandman, I don't know if it was a free meet and greet or not. I think it was. You can get in the ring and get your picture taken with the Sandman. Now, my dad and my brother were massive ECW fans, so naturally they went into the ring. I saw this man in the middle of the ring with this big-ass stick. I got scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't want to go meet the Sandman. So, I didn't meet the Sandman. I eventually met him a couple years, well, more than a couple years later. I met him in like 2017. I told him the story, and of course, Sandman, being fucking Sandman, didn't remember it. But but I mean, that kind of goes without saying. It's the Sandman. Um, but my dad and my brother got in the ring, and for years they clowned me because I didn't want to get in the ring. I was 4 years old. I was 4 years old. I was legitimately terrified of this man who had this giant fucking stick in his hand. I thought he was gonna beat me with it. I fuck that. Like I was scared for young Matty SmackDown safety. So they would always clown me for that. And I finally met the Sandman, and my brother was like, "Did you tell him the story?" I said, "Yeah, I told him. I told him the story. Trust me, I told him the story." So fast forward to, like I said, 2014. Had I known that would have been our last show together, because after that, WXW stopped doing the Sports Fest shows, and my dad's health started to kind of go down on the decline where he was in and out of the hospital a lot. Um, so if had I known that would have been our last show together, I would have cherished it just a little bit more in the moment, just a little bit more in the moment. And I need to, um, I need to give a shout out to WXW because here we go. If it wasn't for WXW, I wouldn't have those memories with my brother or my dad. And oh, fuck, man. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. Um, and then we went up to PPW for the first time in Broadheadsville, and that's where that all started for me. That's literally where this all started, really. Um, my brother was gonna go to that show with us, but I think at that time he had already moved. And when my brother passed away, we were pretty far apart. He lived out in Ohio. I live here in Pennsylvania. Go Birds. um, but I wish there was more. I wish I had a little bit more time, and just a couple things I wanted to say to him that I can't say now. Like thank you for that, because like I said, if it wasn't for my brother, there would be no Matty SmackDown. There would be no going to WXW if it wasn't for him and my dad, and there would be none of this. None of this right now would not be happening if it wasn't for them. Um, so this is all. I don't know. Um, a lot happened in those couple years where me and him didn't talk, and I'm not gonna get into that why we didn't. Um, but we kind of reconciled right before he moved away, and even still, it felt like I feel like it's not just. I feel like we both could have done more. Um, to reconcile completely, and again, that's something I'm gonna have to live with. But I like I said, I have to thank Alpha Jr. and Senior um for bringing WXW to a little area called Allentown. Well, I guess big area called Allentown. Um, but if it wasn't for WXW, I wouldn't have those memories. I wouldn't have those moments. There were times where, like, if you go back to the, I might share some pictures actually later on Facebook. There's pictures of my brother and me at the WXW show. We got to meet Samu, Head Shrinker Samu. We got to meet Lance on Hawaii. Big shouts out to Lance, by the way. Great fucking guy, awesome dude. Um, my brother got his picture with the bald guy, and if you're from this area, you know who that is. My brother, when he was younger, he shaved his head bald, and was so hyped to go to this show just to show the bald guy that he got his fucking head shaved to look like him. He was so hyped for it. Um, But if you go back and you look at these pictures, like I said, had I known in that moment that that was going to be the last time we went to a show, I would have cherished it a little more because who knows? You know what I mean? So basically, if you're out there listening or watching this on YouTube, whatever, um, it's not worth it. The bad blood's not worth it. Maybe in my situation, it was different from somebody else's situation, but the bad blood between siblings just isn't worth it. Um, to hold a grudge over somebody's head over something so fucking stupid, it's just not worth it. Um, so make sure tonight, if you're listening to this, make sure if you have a little sibling or an older sibling, just one time for me, just let them know you love them. That's all I'm asking. Just let them know that you love them. Let them know that you're there for them. But I think I've said a lot, and I don't really think I've said much at all in the last 16 minutes. But I just wanted to come on here and dedicate this episode to my brother, who, like I said, we lost 5 years ago now. Well, going on 5 years. December will be 5 years. And just dedicate this to him and to say, AJ, I love you. I miss you. Happy birthday, bro.